All right, welcome into the FNIA podcast. As always, we are presented by Lowe's. You know Tony Dungy, you know Rodney Harrison, Jac Collinsworth. Fellas, we are fresh off the trade deadline. It's one of the great days of the year, and we got ourselves a good one. Coach, I mean, people are calling this maybe the best trade deadline in NFL history. What say you?
I don't know about best, but I would say busiest for sure. I can't remember one like this. I was never a big believer in trying to add to your team during the season, but there's been a lot of teams that have done it here in these last few days. Some shockers, some ones that maybe made a little sense, but I think it's been busy, and I don't know the overall reason for that. Injuries could play into it, but I just was surprised by how busy it was.
How do you see it, Rod? How do you see this deadline yesterday?
I thought some teams made themselves a lot better. I mean, I think just the thing that surprised me was Seattle. I was thinking that Seattle, because of the Cooper Kupp injury, they needed to go out and do something. And they went out and got a young guy that's not making a lot of money that can come in right away and make a huge difference. And some of these moves, including the one for Indianapolis, coach, I think helps them get closer to being that contender.
Well, that's what everybody feels. And, on paper it does, but I always felt that like you build your team in camp, you have that unity, that togetherness, you grow together. Every now and then there's a special situation. We did it once in my career that I can remember, and it was one of those spur of the moment things. We had our starting nose tackle, Monte Rager, got in a car accident. He was done for the season. So now we have a big hole. Booger McFarland had played for me. He knew the defense. We gave up a second-round pick the next year for him, but he could come in and step in and play right away because he knew what we were doing. That's unusual. And that's the one example that I had, and it was successful for us. But everybody thinks, well, I plugged this guy in, all of a sudden I'm going to be better. I don't know about that. In Seattle, I agree with you. I think they got a sleeper, and the fact that this young kid, Rashid Shaheed, knows their offense. He played for Clint Kubiak last year, so there's not going to be any, I have to learn the terminology. He's going to step right in and be able to play, and I think that's a huge one.
Yeah, and just the opportunity to add some real speed on that outside. We already talked about Jackson Smith and Jigba, and you add two guys with that type of speed, and all of a sudden it opens up things for Elijah Arroyo in the middle of the field. And Sam Darnold, he has to be ecstatic to be able to get these. I'm just saying, Coach, he has to be.
I agree.
Seattle continuing to build. They're on the buyer side of this. Let's go through them one after another. So there's been 26 players traded. That's from the beginning of the season until yesterday. The most in 25 years, our great producer Gary tells me, which is pretty good start. And that makes the case for what we saw yesterday. Let's go through them, starting with the Jets, though. Sauce Gardner. He is off to Indy. Talk about buyers, the Colts. They send 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell. Coach, your Colts, they think it's a Super Bowl year. Why is this the right move?
Well, I think a number of people are ecstatic. The Colts have been looking for a corner ever since training camp. They were really, really excited. Justin Wally, they drafted in the 3rd round. He was playing very, very well. They expected him to be a starter. He got hurt in the preseason, and they felt like they've been deficient ever since. So they've been on the lookout. Sauce Gardner, you're on a 1-7 and 1-8 team, and all of a sudden now you're going to the team with the best record in football, playing for a coach who knows how to utilize talent in Lou Anarumo. I think this is a perfect match. Now, the Colts had to give up a lot. There's no question about it. But they're looking at it, hey, if we can cover, if he can come in, be who he was, Charvarius Ward gets healthy and gets off that IR in December, we're going to have a good corner combination, Rod.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a great corner combination. Those guys play zone, they can play man, but I also think you're going to get a better Sauce Gardner. I mean, you think about it, the environment that he was in with New York, the negativity from the fans, the negativity from just the media and everything that he had to deal with. Now he comes to a more stable environment, a lot of positive things going on. He's got a complete team, and now he doesn't feel like he has to go out and make plays out of the defense. He can just play within the system. Coach, I think this was fantastic by the Indianapolis Colts. I love the fact, Jack, that they're very aggressive. And this is their Super Bowl window. They're playing extremely well. They don't have many weaknesses on the defense, but this corner position was a weakness, Coach, and I thought they hit it out the park with this kid.
No doubt. And they're looking at their team and saying, you know what, we're going to put points on the board. We're going to score. We're going to be ahead. People are going to have to throw to beat us. Now, if we can get Ward and Gardner back there patrolling the back and make plays, that's going to win for us in December and January.
Yeah, and you look at the safety position with Nick Cross and Cam Bynum. They are very solid at the safety position, but you add a guy like Sauce Gardner, it really takes your secondary to the next level, Jack.
How do you view the A.D. Mitchell portion of this, Coach?
Well, unfortunately, you're giving up a very good young player, but he wasn't playing for you. And somehow, for some reason, he'd gotten in the doghouse. Maybe it's the fumble at the goal line. Maybe it's other things. But he's playing 4 or 5 plays a game. You hate to give up on that talent, but if it helps me get a guy who can propel us to the top, I'm gonna make that trade.
Yeah, and the Jets get a good young player, and he's going to help. I mean, he'll be a good complement to Garrett Wilson. So to have 2 young wide receivers that they can continue to work on and build, I think that's a good thing for the Jets.
He was a second-round pick in 2024 out of Texas. For anybody who's not aware of his career, 55 targets, 23 catches last year. That was 312 yards, no touchdowns. 9 catches this year, 152 yards, no touchdowns as well. So that is the move. Let's get to the Jets cleaning house and continue the conversation, though, because they also traded Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys for a first-round pick in 2027, a second-round pick in 2026, and Mozzie Smith as well. Quinnen, that 4-year, $96 million contract was signed in 2023. So, Rodney, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, Quinnen Williams has been a very productive defensive tackle. And then just think about it, him playing for the Jets over the last couple of years, maybe he doesn't have the same enthusiasm. Now he get a fresh new start. You pair him with Kenny Clark. I think Jerry Jones is doing the right thing, adding these small pieces right now. Now, Coach, it's going to cost him a lot of money, $20-something million a year. But do you think Quinnen Williams still has something in him? I still think he's young enough, and I still think he's healthy and just good enough to make a difference for the Cowboys.
No, I absolutely do. And it's a good move from that standpoint. You put him with Kenny Clark in the middle, you're better run defense right away. That's been the Cowboys' weakness. So I see that. You have to look at the money, what it costs, and the fact that you're giving up some of the capital that you got from trading trading Micah, yeah. But that's the trade-off. And Jerry Jones is saying, okay, I got Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams, and I still have a little bit extra from what I got from Micah Parsons. Overall, I think it's a pretty good move, especially if you know Micah wasn't happy in that locker room.
But also, Jack, getting a linebacker from Cincinnati, I mean, he's a solid player. We watched him his entire career, and each year he's gotten better. He's a solid guy. I think he can come in right away and make a difference.
Yeah, Logan Wilson, I'm with you on that. I mean, the Bengals liked him enough to pay him, and then they just drafted and replaced him and didn't need him. And so I'm glad to see them at least moving on from that when they don't need him. I'd like to see Trey Hendrickson moved on from as well, but I think they're still trying to, maybe win a few games here, but that may be a little bit more of a long dream. Go ahead, Coach.
If you look at a big picture from the Cowboys standpoint, okay, you gave up Micah Parsons, you got Kenny Clark, Quinnen Williams, and Logan Wilson, and maybe one more extra pick down the road. It's not a bad one. As Rodney said way back, you kind of unload a guy who wasn't happy, you get some good young players, and if you get hit on that draft choice next year, you did pretty well.
Yeah, you trade one player, you end up getting 4 or 5 or 6 players. And that's what we talked about when we talked about the Cowboys. Them not needing one special talent, but they need to build a team. And that's what Jerry Jones is doing, slowly but surely.
And it's interesting because Jerry Jones, as soon as they traded Micah Parsons, mentioned that we need guys that can stop the run. He felt like they had some young edge rushers that could play. He said, we need guys that can stop the run. So to go get Kenny Clark first, kind of get that original anchor. Now to get Quinnen Williams, you take interior defensive line from arguably your biggest weakness, one of your biggest weaknesses, to now a strength of your team. If they had won against Arizona on Monday night at home with a backup quarterback in Jacoby Myers, you'd be saying, here we go. coming out of the bye week, who knows what the Cowboys could turn into here. Maybe the defense will be better to pair with that offense. But then they lose that game. I mean, Coach, do you feel like they're still alive right now talking Dallas?
I think it's going to be a struggle this year. They needed that win and keep the momentum going. There's questions there. They can move the ball on offense. They still got to stop people, and maybe Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson help them in that regard.
Yeah, I said Jacoby Myers, Jacoby Brissett. Now let's get to Jacoby Myers, who was traded. Jacksonville, they get wide receiver Jacoby Myers, a 4th and a 6th round selection. That's in the 2026 NFL draft in exchange for Myers. How do you view this one, Rod? I know you know him, started his career in New England.
Yeah, I like Jacoby Myers. And the thing about Jacoby, I think he's underrated, but he's a pro. You know, you talk to guys in the locker room, they like his approach. He works hard. He's a very productive wide receiver, had over 80 catches last year, over 1,000 yards. He can come in, even if he's not your number 1 receiver, he can be your instant number 2. He's a pro. He wants to get paid. They need to go ahead and extend his contract, give him a fresh 3 or 4 year deal. And he's going to be a positive influence. He was a really good teammate in New England. I like this move, Coach. It just gives Trevor another weapon, another reliable weapon. Remember, they paid Christian Kirk like $18-20 million a year, and this kid is better than Christian Kirk.
Yeah, and, you know, hopefully it does pan out in the long run and they give him a new contract. But even if it doesn't, I look at this as, hey, this is a 1-year move, and we feel like we're close in Jacksonville. We've got a chance to make the playoffs. Travis Hunter, our receiver, is on IR. We get a receiver we can plug in and make some plays for us and hopefully get us to the playoffs. And so if it does that, if Jacoby comes in and gives them a spark, then it's worth it. You didn't give up that much to get him.
And Coach, one thing I wouldn't do I'm not giving up a 4th and a 6th round pick if I can't sign this guy to a long-term deal. So that's one of the things. I'm talking to his agent before I give up those picks. Hey, can we try to agree on a long-term deal? Because this is a guy that I want in my locker room. I want Jacoby Myers in the locker room. I think he's that big of a difference maker, Jack.
He's had some productive years. He's had 3 years over 800 yards, 3 in a row, 21, 22, 23. A year over 1,000 yards, that was 24. So a year ago, this year, 33 catches, 352 yards to start it out. How do we view Jacksonville right now, Coach? I mean, Jacksonville, we've seen the good, we've seen some of the bad. I mean, how do you view this team, this franchise right now?
They're close, and the fact, I think you hit it, there's not that bona fide level of, okay, these teams are great and everybody else is building for next year. Jacksonville's middle of the pack, but they're right in the hunt. They can make the playoffs, maybe win a playoff game and get going. So I think they're saying, hey, we need a little help. We need a little more production on offense that can get us into that playoff tier, and maybe it happens.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. Jacoby Myers, give them that little spark that they need. And that's all they need is just a little spark offensively.
Mm-hmm. All right. So the biggest winner at this 2025 trade deadline, Rodney, I'm going to start with you. The biggest winner for you is who?
I thought it was the Colts. I mean, that's the one I talked about. Was the Colts for me. I'm going to go with the biggest head scratcher for me. The biggest head scratcher for me was Jair Alexander to the Ravens. And Coach, I just couldn't believe this is a kid that struggled with confidence. And we saw him at the game. And toward the end of the game, it wasn't like the team was going away from him. They were going straight at him, and he couldn't even stop Keon Coleman in the key moments of the game. He's just not playing with a lot of confidence. And quite frankly, I would have gone with a guy like Stephon Gilmore before I traded for Jair Alexander.
Yeah, no, that was a head scratcher for me, and I'll stay in that category, Jack. I'm going to go with the Jets as the biggest head scratcher. I know you're building for the future. I know you got some picks, but you bring in Aaron Glenn. He's a defensive coach. How do you trade your 2 best defensive players? I just don't understand that. My first year in Tampa, we were 1-8. Okay, and I kept preaching, we're going to get better. We're going to get better. We're going to build for the future. Well, the next year we were pretty good. We went to the playoffs. How would we have been if I'd have traded away Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks because we were 1-8? I don't understand it.
But let me just say this, Coach. you when Aaron Glenn came in there, obviously he got a chance to see their work habits and their tape and their impact. And so he's looking at his other coaches and saying, I like these guys. These guys are great players. They're just not my type of players. And it wasn't
that could be. Yeah.
It wasn't like Quinnen Williams was just dominating. He was just taking over. To me, both those guys were kind of coasting because they were in such a negative environment. Now you get these guys in more of a positive environment. Quinnen going to the Cowboys. He's going to be on national television every week. He's got a quarterback. I just think that these environments are going to make these players a lot better, a lot more comfortable, and allow them to have more of an impact right away, Coach.
Yeah, but sometimes you have talented guys, you're not using them right, and you've got to figure out how to do it. When I got to Tampa, Brooks was playing over the tight end, looked like an average player, and Sapp, they were taken out on third down his first year. And so all of a sudden you could tell, oh, these guys weren't what we thought they were. Well, we put them in the right place, in the right system. They started believing in us, and they blossomed. And I just think you got two talented guys. Maybe they don't fit what you're doing. If they're disruptive in the locker room and that, I can understand it. But to me, man, to trade your two best defensive players when you're trying to build for the future, hopefully you can use those draft choices and replace them. But you had two pretty good players right there already.
Yeah, they're probably looking at the money that they saved too, Coach, because
now that's different.
Right, the money that you save, but also the future of the quarterback position. It gives them a lot more flexibility if they want to go out there and draft a young guy, but it also gives them flexibility if they want to be aggressive on the open market. So I'm not mad at the Jets. I think Aaron Glenn came in. He had enough time to spend with Sauce and Quinnen Williams to know if that was the future of his defense. And he's looking like, hey, I like these players, but they're not my type of players. And that's why Coach trades those guys away.
And as you see on the graphic, they do have some capital coming up in the next 2 years to go get some good players.
Ooh-wee, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's how you build a team, Coach. Let's go.
Five first-round picks, the next couple of drafts, and there's supposed to be a lot of talent coming up in these drafts. I'll be curious how they go about finding this quarterback. I mean, you would assume it's going to be with one of those first-round picks we just listed right there, but we've seen teams like the Colts go do it in free agency. We've seen teams like the Bucs go bring in a Baker Mayfield, or maybe Seattle bring in a Sam Darnold. So we've seen that strategy as well. And, Aaron Glenn, he comes from Detroit. They found their quarterback with Jared Goff and bringing him in, and then drafted a bunch of really good guys. Yes, in the early rounds, early picks, but in the mid rounds too, paying those homegrown guys. And now they've really built the franchise that way. How do you think Aaron will do it, Coach?
Well, I'm not sure. He can get his eye on who that quarterback that he really wants to go after. But as Rodney said, now you can do it two different ways. You got rid of some money that you can now spend on a quarterback. If you see that free agent guy that you want to go get, you've got multiple draft picks. If there's a quarterback in the draft that you want to go up and get, a Pat Mahomes, you can package that and go get that guy in the first round with the first pick. So I think they've given themselves ammunition to do it either way.
Yeah. Well, the fun thing is we get to look forward to how they will do it. That could be a little off season. We'll have a few podcasts about that. Who should have made a move and did it? Rod, I'll start with you.
Man, right off the top, the first thing I thought about was the Chiefs. And I thought they should have went out and aggressively pursued a running back like an Alvin Kamara, Coach. I think he could have been a guy catching screens, catching the ball out of the backfield. His experience, he's not happy in New Orleans. And to be able to be on a team with Andy Reid, getting him the football in different ways, I thought that could have been a home run.
Yeah, I agree with you with Pacheco being hurt. There was rumors, Jack, that Breece Hall may have been in the conversation, and he would have been a good one to get for the Chiefs as well. But my head scratcher was really the Minnesota Vikings and the Giants. If I'm Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy played lights out and won a game for us. We're back in the playoff race, but I still don't have an experienced backup quarterback. With Carson Wentz being out, I would have gone and got one of those guys, and I would have looked to the Giants. And if you're the Giants, you're sitting there, Jackson Dart is your guy now. You don't need a third veteran quarterback. Okay, get rid of Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston, get some extra picks for that, and Minnesota, go get your guy that gives you an insurance policy.
Yeah, the other guy that I was looking at too, Jack, was the Packers. The Packers could have went out and got Mark Andrews because of the Tucker Kraft injury. And Tucker, he was coming into his own. He's a big part of that offense. But to go out and get a tight end, a big target, somebody that can help and take the pressure off those young wide receivers, that I thought that was a move that they should have aggressively pursued as well.
I'm going to play devil's advocate on that. I don't think the Ravens are dealing Mark Andrews. I mean, I think they still view him as a really big part of not only their offense, but as a big part of a safety blanket for Lamar Jackson. Those two have been extremely close. I know you like Isaiah Likely, but they like to use both those tight ends. Go ahead, Rod.
They do, Jack. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense what you're saying, but I also know that this is Mark Andrews' last year there. And Isaiah Likely, I think he's back. He's healthy. And it's just me, whether I have to go out and give up a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick, but I need to get a tight end that can come in and make a big difference, take that pressure off for Jordan Love. You saw just what Tucker Kraft was able to do, and Jordan Love, just the comfort level that they have. So, that's a move that I would have thought about.
He's a beast. What do you think, Coach? Would that be a possibility with Mark Andrews?
I wouldn't think so because of his relationship with Lamar. I think that would do something to Lamar if you get rid of Andrews. But you got to make that call. I never would have thought Sauce Gardner would be available, and they went out and got him. So make the call at least, yes.
Yeah. I mean, Tucker Kraft was being talked about as the best, one of the best tight ends in football, and then sadly a week later, boom, there he is for the season. So we'll look forward to him coming back next year. But that is a big hole they're going to have to fill with Green Bay. Let's get to the Week 9 takeaways. Did Indy get exposed? 27-20 to the Steelers. Daniel Jones, 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles, Coach.
Yeah, I don't think they got exposed. I just think they had a bad plan going into the game. And sometimes you get caught up in that as a coach. This is our system. We're going to do what we do. But you play the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's only 2 things that you have to do. You have to take care of the 2 edge rushers, and you have to take care of the football. Okay, and they were going up and down the field, and then one time, single block TJ Watt, strip sack, that starts it all off. As you say, 5 sacks, 6 turnovers. Have a plan, run the ball. I know that's not your thing. Shane Steichen likes to throw in the first half and run in the second half, but this team can't stop the run. Run Jonathan Taylor in the first half, keep possession of the ball, don't let those pass rushers get going, and you could be fine.
Yeah, Coach, I agree with you. They didn't get exposed. I just thought that they didn't have the right game plan. And you think about it, all year I've been talking about this offensive line and how good this offensive line was and how much they dominated. And I just felt like this was the first week that I've seen them get dominated and really just getting taken over. You look at Jonathan Taylor, he's only got 14 carries. You're not going to win just giving him 14 carries against a good defense like that. And there's no way Daniel Jones should be throwing a ball 50 times against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So for me, it's just getting back to what they do well. That's running the football. That's play action pass. That's putting a lot of pressure on the defense with all the weapons that they have. They got big wide receivers, guys that can go up and make contested throws. Tyler Warren, Josh Downs, really quick. They got so many weapons. It's like they didn't get exposed. I just think that Shane Steichen will review his game plan.
Yeah, I always think back to this. I was on the staff at Minnesota. We were playing the Buffalo Bills, and Denny Green is usually let the coaches do their thing. He makes suggestions every now and then. He came in on Tuesday in the staff meeting room, and he said to Brian Billick, our offensive coordinator, "If I see Bruce Smith single block one time on a pass, you're fired." And I would have said the same thing about TJ Watt. If he gets single blocked one time in this game, you're fired, because he's the one guy who can turn this around for him. So we got to double team him, chip him every time. And that got Pittsburgh going. And there's no question about it. One play turned that game around.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you not only get to the quarterback, but you get that ball out. And that's what TJ does. That's what the best of them do. When they get there, they're not thinking tackle, they're thinking ball. And they get it out cleanly. Let's get down to the Chiefs. In unfamiliar territory, this was arguably the hottest team in football. Going into this game, one of the hottest teams in football. We know how it goes. Usually in the regular season, the Bills, They're able to get it done. In the postseason, the Chiefs, they get their revenge on the Bills and they go on to the Super Bowl. Right now, AFC West, Denver 7-2, Chargers 6-3, KC 5-4. How do you see this division, this group right now? Rod, I'll start with you.
Yeah, for me, I just think with Andy Reid, I know the Chiefs are, you guys call it unfamiliar territory, but for me, they just have to get back to being able to run the football, coach. They've become so one-dimensional, waiting for Mahomes to go back there and always work his magic. To me, when they're running the football, they're running downhill, they're play-action passing, getting the ball out quick, and then taking shots. That's when this offense is at its best, and at times, Andy Reid just shies away from the run game, and he wants to make it all about Mahomes.
I agree. And you see some of the issues that, we've seen from Kansas City in the last year and a half, the pass protection, the penalties, the offensive line. But again, it has to be that way. And I'm going to point some of the finger at Andy, but I'm also going to point some of the finger at Patrick Mahomes when I go back and watch the tape, because a lot of these RPOs where he could hand the ball off, he doesn't. They've got a run play called and he throws the quick screen or the bubble or whatever. And sometimes if you're Andy, you might have to say, it's not going to be an option, Patrick. Hand this ball off. We're going to call a running play. We're going to call a downhill run and get after it, especially when you play against Buffalo. You go into Buffalo and the weakness of that team is their run defense. And when you don't run it at them, it just doesn't make sense to me. And that's what I saw last week.
You think about this, against the Raiders, the Chiefs ran the ball 41 runs, right? They scored 31 points. They win. Against the Commanders, they run the ball 30 times. They score 28 points. They win. Against the Jaguars, the running backs touch the ball 15 times. They lose, and Mahomes is the leading rusher. That's just not the right formula. You have to run the football. And coach, I've been going against Andy Reid my entire career, and it's always been the same thing. Pass first, run second. If he wants to get back to the big dance, Jack, they have to run the football, period.
Flipperoo. Coach, you agree?
I totally agree.
So they're on
and
the
they've got a chance.
Yep. And then it gets tough, Coach.
It does, but you look at some of these teams that they're going to be playing, and they are going to have to be balanced, and they're going to have to run the football. And I think they'll look at their bye week and say, hey, just some of the things Rodney pointed out, the games that we were really good, where we were just unstoppable on offense, that's because we were balanced, and we've got to get back to that.
So at Denver, then the Colts. So those really tough. Thanksgiving, they're at Dallas. The Texans, they have really struggled to protect the passer this year, so we'll see how that one goes. The Chargers now without Joe Alt for the foreseeable future for the rest of the year. Then at the Titans, who have not been very good. The Broncos again at the Raiders. So there's really a mixed bag in there. There's some tough ones. I'll be curious to see how they match up with Denver. I mean, Denver, one of the better teams right now. How do you view, Rodney, how would you view Denver and Kansas City right now in the AFC West? Who's the better team to you?
I would say Denver right now, and I think I would give a lot of credit to Sean Payton. I think he's done a really good job with the young quarterback, but I think he's also getting used to his team, his offense. I think he understands them a lot better, and that defense is fantastic. Talanoa Hufanga in the secondary, those guys up front. I like what the Denver Broncos are doing, and each week it just seems like they're gaining more confidence.
They are gaining confidence, but I still look at them and I say, who have they really beaten? Okay, they beat Philadelphia on the road, which was a good win for them. But their other wins have been against the kind of the subpar team. We saw them against the Giants be down 18 points in the fourth quarter. Last week, the same thing. They're down to Houston. They get a last-second field goal. So they're getting the confidence, as Rod says, to win these games. But to me, that's going to be the biggest game of the year. That's going to determine, to me, the winner of the AFC West next week when Kansas City goes to Denver. If Kansas City can win that game, they've got some home games coming up. Their road games are against not really that tough a team. They could get on the street. But if they go and get shut down in Denver, then I think, again, the confidence level, and that's going to tell Denver we can win this thing.
Yeah. And Kansas City has been trying to patch up that offensive line. Joey Bosa got after that offensive line a little bit. So we saw them have success with that patch job. Then he got after him. So give me one team, either conference, the AFC, the NFC. It's open races on both sides right now. AFC, NFC, coach, I'll start with you, that you believe in most right now.
Well, I'm a defensive guy, so I'm looking at the defenses. I still think Philadelphia is playing the best defense of anybody in the NFC. What I saw from Seattle, though, the other night, Rodney, that impressed me. I think Seattle is a team to be on the lookout for in the NFC.
Yeah, I think Seattle is actually the sleeper team, Coach. You talk about them adding the young receiver and then just being able to get back their best defensive back, Devon Witherspoon, and just how good that defense is. Sam Darnold, he looked amazing. He looked so confident and just comfortable within that scheme. I would say Seattle, watch out for them. I mean, we already know with the Rams, they got Matthew Stafford. We know about the Eagles. But I'm telling you, that Seattle Seahawks, and just watching them on film is completely different than watching them on, in person.
In person.
When you watch them, all of a sudden you see how big this offensive line is, just how big and physical and athletic their defensive line is, and how deep they are, and how good the secondary is. You start to be like, wow, this team blows me away, because they can win a Super Bowl this year, Coach, and I don't think it's unreasonable to say that.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Are they a run-first team? Are they a heavy personnel pass team? They're an interesting team. How do you view that, though, Coach? I mean, because it seems like people talk about like it's a great run team. Their run numbers are not amazing, but their pass numbers really are. Go ahead.
And it's because of their mentality. They make you defend the run. Okay, they're going to come out in some run formations, and if you don't defend the run, they'll run it. But if you do what you should do and stack that box, then they've got some guys who can make plays. And we saw Horton come in the game and make some plays. Now they're going to have Shaheed to go along with JSN. So they're going to have some guys that if they get one-on-ones, they can win. And the fact that, and Rodney talked about this in our pregame, he said, you got to disrupt Sam Darnold. You got to pressure him. But if they're throwing on first down, if they're throwing when you think they're going to run, that eliminates a lot of that pressure. He's throwing when he wants to, not when he has to.
They keep that offensive line healthy, it's going to be a problem. One of very few teams that's had all five playing together all year. There's two tackles really coming into their own. Zabel, the first-round pick at left guard. And so that group up front, I think, has been the difference. If anything could go, if they keep that steady, I think Sam Darnold will stay steady. I really do. He's in this MVP conversation right now, Rod. I mean, it's amazing. The 18th highest paid quarterback, he gets this deal, but it's not like it's a crazy deal that Seattle got him on.
No, it's a fair deal, but also I just love the priority making their offensive line, because we covered these guys, and for the last few years, all I've ever heard of them talking about, we got to get this offensive line fixed. We got to get this offensive line fixed. you talked about the tackles. I like Gray Zabel, the rookie left guard, who's first-round draft choice is really good. But then when you look at them physically, this is just a more imposing, physically bigger team. And that's what you want, and even though they're not running the ball 4.5 yards per rush, like Coach said, the threat of them running the ball, it forces you to have to bring that safety. Now you got Jackson Smith and Jigma with all that speed, Rashid. They just got weapons in place.
They sure do. Did you guys give an AFC team? So NFC team, Rod's on the Hawks. You're on Philly, Coach. AFC-wise?
I'm going with the Bills. Josh Allen, veteran team. They've been there before. And, Coach, they are committing to running the football. That's why I ultimately chose the Bills.
Well, I'm still not a believer in the Bills' defense. And believe it or not, I'm going to flip and say the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, I think Mike Tomlin has made a culture shift. Cover two that we saw last week, some zone coverage is going to help that front. I was actually on Cam Hayward's podcast on Thursday, and he said he got after the defensive linemen and their front group in a players-only situation. We've got to get ourselves going. We've got to get back to dominating the line of scrimmage. Their offense is better than it has been. If what we saw against Indy, if that defensive philosophy shift, if they keep that going, I think they have a chance.
Wow, that's a statement, Coach. I mean, that's a statement right there.
Hey, so basically, hold on, Jack.
Kansas City. Go ahead, Rod.
So basically, what he's saying is he trusts Aaron Rodgers more so, right?
Than Mahomes.
Well, I trust Aaron Rodgers and the way this offense has been playing if they get some defense. My problem, the whole first half, even when they were winning games, the defense hadn't showed up, hadn't been what I expected. Now, if they protect those defensive backs a little bit more, play conservative, let their front make plays like they did against Indy. Now, with that offense in place and with Aaron, they've got a chance. So we'll see. And we'll find out a lot more when we go out west this weekend.
Yeah, we talked about Go ahead, Jack.
Rob. I was just going to say, it didn't look that way against Denver, or it didn't look that way against Green Bay. It certainly didn't look that way against the Bengals. Then they come get right. It was at home against the Colts. And the Colts were, they're a hot team, but it's still one of those teams where you want to see it for a longer period of time. You want to see it against that higher level of competition. It was their first real speed bump. Go ahead, Rod.
Now, the thing that I really appreciated about the Steelers, Coach, and we've watched this team and we've seen the blown coverages, the mistakes and things, just simplifying things. And when you simplify it and you say, you know what, guys, we're going to play cover 2. We're going to play cover 1. We're going to play cover 3, not a whole bunch of adjustments. Now guys can relax. They can fully focus and hone in on their job, and they can play a lot faster. They don't have to think. And I think that's what I've seen for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You didn't see guys running free, Jalen Ramsey pointing at guys, hey, he's free, he's free. No, you saw guys that were engaged, guys that didn't blow coverages, guys that were communicating. And I love the fact that they took Jalen Ramsey and they put him at free safety.
Yes.
He can make huge impact at safety. He's big, he's athletic, and he's got great vision. He's not afraid to hit you.
So if they do that, if they play like they played against Indy, where you say, we're going to play basic coverages, we're not going to give you big plays, we're going to let our pass rushers eat. Well, how do you beat a team like that? You have to run the ball. How many teams in football today want to just run the ball and pound it? Not very many. So I think this philosophy is going to suit them really well.
Man, and those pass rushers are going to have a real opportunity on Sunday Night Football this week, too, because the Chargers without Joe Alt, as we touched on briefly, Steelers at Chargers. If the Steelers go out there to L.A. and pull off another one, Indy, and then the Chargers, Coach, a lot more people might be jumping on this bandwagon with you. Do you think they can go do it?
I think they can, but I don't think it will be as easy as last week because Jim Harbaugh, knowing that Joe Alt, his left tackle, is out, he's not going to sit back there and say, okay, I'm going to throw the ball 50 times and just drop back and let my quarterback get harassed. He's going to want to run the football, pound it, come at this defense. So Pittsburgh's going to have to stop the run. If they do and they force him to throw, I think it's going to be a long day for Justin Herbert, and the fact that he's not comfortable just dropping back and throwing without Joe Alt.
Yeah, I think that's the story of the game. Can that Chargers offensive line block those guys up there? And I don't think they can. I don't think they can consistently block those guys. I just think they're too good. They're too deep. And I think they're going to struggle, Coach. And then we saw last week against the Tennessee Titans, the Chargers offensive line, they struggled with some stunts, some games that the line were playing. And these guys are big, so they struggle with speed and athleticism, and that's what Pittsburgh has. So I think this is a tough matchup. The one thing I do think the Chargers will do, and Harbaugh he does a great job of, 6 and 7 man protection. He did it against he did it against the Chiefs when they played in Brazil. He did it against the Philadelphia Eagles, the second game of the year. It was a lot of 6 and 7 man protections, making sure that Justin Herbert was the number one priority, defending him and just protecting him.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key. Can the Chargers run the football so they can throw when they want to throw? And the one thing I do not think you'll see from a Jim Harbaugh coach team is T.J. Watt getting single blocked. as a former quarterback, he's going to say, I do not envision myself sitting back there wanting to throw, knowing that this dominant pass rusher is going to get singled. He's not going to put Justin Herbert in that situation.
Coach, you got to treat T.J. Watt like he's Micah Parsons.
Yes.
You have to him just like that. Wherever he goes, I don't care if he's standing up over the center, you tell that running back, wherever he goes, you make sure that you block him and let the line finish off the rest of the guys.
Here's the hard thing for me about LA. At the beginning of the year, I would have said Slater and I would have said Alt are two of the biggest strengths of their team, two of the biggest strengths of their case to be a Super Bowl team for sure this year. Without both of those guys, I do not see them nearly the same way. They have not played the same. Herbert has not looked even similar to that. Coach, can they make it happen without those two guys? I mean, those are two huge holes now.
I don't know that they can. And to do it, they're going to have to be a good running team. And do they have the confidence that they can run? Do they have the backs to be able to run it and pound it? I'm not sure. But I agree with you. I don't think they're going to beat people throwing the football like they could when those two tackles were healthy.
Guys, it's not just two guys they're missing. Remember Mekhi Becton too. So that's almost 66% of their offensive line that's gone. And I don't think that they can consistently line up against some of the best teams in the AFC and dominate at the line of scrimmage. And that's what Harbaugh is all about. That's why he went out and drafted Joe. That's why he went out and paid Mekhi Becton $20 million a year and paid Rashawn Slater over $100 million. The strength of that team is on the offensive line. And if they're not productive, if they're not healthy, it's going to – and Herbert becomes a different quarterback when When Joe Alt is in there, his vision is down the field like that. He's not worried about the offensive line. And as soon as Joe Alt and those other guys are gone, this is what he's looking at. He's looking at the offensive line, worried and concerned about the defensive guys. So, that's the story of the game right there.
It is. It's another interesting pick. Last week felt real cool, real comfortable picking those Seattle Seahawks. I don't know that this week's going to be. We're back to really what the year has been on Sunday night. These pick-em style games where they're tough, Rod. These are tough to pick. It's another one.
And I'm going to tell you something else. And Coach knows about this more so than me because he's a former Steeler. The way they travel, their fans, it's going to be like a home game for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It will.
Am I lying, Coach?
It will.
No, you're right. The Chargers better get that silent count ready to go for the shotgun for sure, because those fans are going to be out there. And to me, the whole key is the LA going to be able to run the football? If they don't, they won't win. If they can run it, if they determine to run it, and they do run it with success, they'll give Pittsburgh a lot of problems.
Yeah. You expect Mike Tomlin to just load it up and go, you're not running it? I mean, making that statement early, in some ways like they did against the Colts.
I don't think so. I think he's going to protect his secondary. He's not going to want to give up the big plays. And he'll say, will the Chargers have that commitment? Will they come out and run it? Or will they be who they have been and try to win the game with Justin Herbert? I don't think they'll win the game with Justin Herbert this week. But that's what makes it a tough call. How are they going to play? Can they do it with their running game? Can they do it with play action passes? We'll see.
Guys, my laptop is about to die out. I gotta go. I'm about to die out.
That's the best way to end it. Peace. We are out. Peace. FNIA podcast. We'll see you in LA for the Steelers and the Chargers, and Rodney's computer's gonna take a nap. See you, fellas. Later.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.